Honestly, man, I talked to a ton of musicians, and for their first and second bodies of work, that is so commonplace. Because the first album, you might have spent the first 10 years of your life assembling that material. It came from so many different avenues in your life, so many places and spaces, like Donald Byrd would say.
Yes.
And, but to kind of, and you said you worked twice as hard on the second one, but that was a laser beam focus, man.
Yeah.
So, but all of that material, it kind of built upon the first body of work, because you kind of focused that. You know what I'm saying? You found your identity. In the beginning, you were kind of saying, I'm all of these things, and in the second body of work, it's kind of more of who you are. It's more focused, I would think.
Right, and taking a little chance to go, you know what? I'm not subscribing to any any kind of formula that I just wanted to, like, I was grouping again. At the same time, you're like, I'm sitting here, all these songs come from, being somewhere, and it comes from your imagination, and then it somehow comes out maybe on a guitar, and then you're piecing and you're plugging holes and you're trying to go, and then you go to make this record, and then, I used to believe that, people had an idea of a song and they just put this thing out, but then you don't realize that when you're making music, or that you're making a record, you're just kind of you have these ideas, and then when you go record, and what comes out, and in the moment, you're settling kind of for what you're getting in the moment. Like I could sit and work, and I would drill myself. Most of my work was singing these things and selling these lines and selling these words, and singing in tune, singing vibe, singing, and there was no going back and editing like now that we do with recordings. Sure. There's no editing and fixing this one word here. I mean, you had to, when you punched in I recorded my second, on my first record, I record on ADATs in a mixer. 3 ADATs, 24 tracks of digital, and that all kind of, you can cut and punch in, and it has a certain thing there. Okay. It's a whole nother thing when I go record my second record, and I'm on a 2-inch tape machine, a 2-inch tape machine that's 24 tracks. And when you go punch, you got to be very careful when you're recording to tape how you're punching, because when you punch, whatever you did before is goodbye, and you got to be very careful about what's happening. So, and then you can hear punches on tape. Oh, okay. You can hear punches. Yeah. You can hear a little something that's like. So that was a whole lesson in itself. So it made me realize, I'm recording on the tape. I got to have performances. It's got to be like, if I got to fix this one word, I got to sing a whole phrase so that I can get to the end of this thing so we can punch out and it don't sound like a punch. Yeah. You don't just punch little, you don't punch. So it was like a whole nother thing. It was a whole nother lesson in my ability to deliver the goods in the studio setting. And then after recording a couple of records, then I become like studio guy. I became to where living in a studio, working in a studio, going playing on other people's tracks, going playing on other people's records. That's just every day. Every day, going doing something. Then I was also had a friend here that I would do. He had a line in on doing a lot of like television and radio. Mm-hmm. So I started going doing voiceover work. Okay. I would go do voiceover work, and then I would also go play on stuff, but more singing or speaking. whether it's singing a commercial,
Sure.
singing a television commercial, singing a radio, reading out text for some political ad or somebody's restaurant or whatever. I started having to, I know how to manipulate my talents and my voice and all these things to go from where it's just acting. It's just
Sure.
all
Yeah.
acting. Everything is acting.